Hello, today I am doing a little bit of a different twist for myself. I am going to talk about J.K. Rowling a little bit. Now, she has, I've got her chart, and I did what is called a secondary progression on her so that I could understand what might be happening to her. And we're going to do, myself and my medical astrologer partner, we're going to do a more in-depth reading of her in Zoom. But for right now, I'm just more or less going to introduce to you that, one, I've done a reading on her, and I find that in her second house where she has Saturn and Pisces, which is really ruled by Jupiter in this sense, where you can see that she has what's called a finger of God, or a yod, which means that there's a lot of pressure on her. A yod is the yod bearer, somebody who bears the load in life. And you can see very clearly that what she does is she's a writer of some renown from more or less the occult side of things. She writes about subjects that are really in some regards hidden from us or to us. And she's able to, as a rule, provide us with the details. But this finger of God, in its own right, has its own timing. And so what happens is, for her at this time, that her North Node in Gemini and Ascendant are coming together in Gemini. And they're saying, yeah, we have a little issue. You need to learn what you say and how you say it. Not that what you said and the way people are taking it is exactly the way it happened, because the two issues in this sense are not what they're called in conjunct, or not in conjunct, but in quincunx to each other. So the information and the stellium that she has in the sixth house now on her secondary progression is suggesting that the words that she uses were not well received in the collective, and that the collective is going over it with some detail and using their little stingers to really effectively bring about a sense of damage, okay? And so her moon in Scorpio in the sixth, in this sense, her Venus, her Neptune, and her Mars, where it's doubling down on the Martian theory. People coming at her feeling rather hot-headed and unwilling to accept her version of the truth. And where does this come from? Well, she has kind of a reoccurring theme in her chart, for which, if I had an opportunity to interview her, I would like to know a little bit about, as her early childhood issues with her father, and that perhaps he was emotionally unavailable. If he was available, he was toxic and therefore unavailable. Could have been mentally ill, any number of things. She could have been any number of things withheld from her father, from her mother. It's just really difficult to say, but because without talking to her, I can just only look at the chart and the secondary progressions, the natal and the secondaries, and kind of pull in my own version of what I think I'm seeing. But what she has in this sense right now is her Saturn is in the 12th in Pisces. So this is what she does for a career. But down in her 4th, it's saying her Uranus and her Pluto are conjunct, and they're within 20 minutes of each other conjunct. So this is a really tight conjunction in Virgo that's saying, yeah, these things that are happening here are really, in the sense of the 4th house, are really heating up and triggering how she feels, or the losses she felt over her father at one time. And so it's a very interesting situation that's developing with her in terms of how society is reacting. Now, I'm going to use Black Tarot, and I'm just going to further ask, is this her black night of the soul moment where something in this sense larger is really unfolding for her in her bigger cycles. Yes, it's a Page of Swords where she's going to have to learn to speak after thinking and not once before. And in this sense, you can see she's used to putting out a lot of hot air. And I did notice that her Mars is above the horizon and on the, it's above her sun, which means that her Mars sometimes gets misdirected and she says things without thinking. And so in this sense, this has really upset people because a lot of people feel this energy. Now, whether or not, I don't know what all she said, and I'm not even going to get into it because I really don't believe, looking at her chart, that she meant it in a way of a meanness or it to be condemning to anybody. I think that she was expressing a personal view, which she has a right to do. And so let's just ask the cards, was her meaning meant to cause harm? And I just don't believe it was. It just doesn't hit me this way. 8 of Spears. No. She was trying to say something that she believed in from a solid perspective of what it takes to be a member of planet Earth. And you notice that in an 8 or an infinity symbol, there's 2 circles, one on each side. She's trying to say, in general, if you were born female, then by definition of your soul, you're female. And if you were born male, by definition of your soul, you're male. But by no means was she saying that she was trying to define for those who define themselves as other. I don't see it. I see her as being rooted to the ground and having meant well, but in fact said something that triggered the collective and brought up a lot of kind of, if you will, people juggling whether or not they'll buy her books or going to ever read her stuff again. You know, she is going through a period of her dark night of the soul. So what is going to be her outcome? This will be the last card in this poll. And Queen of Swords. She's going to learn from it. And she's going to grow from it. And rightfully so. I mean, that's all we can do. A lot of times, sometimes these really highly talented people, they mean well and they try hard. And our expectations of them are maybe a little unpractical, and sometimes we're a little harsh as the collective because, well, we're operating in pain as is she. We all are. And so, you know, walk a mile in her shoes. Some things have happened in her life that have led her to be who she is. So walk a mile in her shoes. Before you judge, understand that maybe we don't know enough to judge. Ask questions. Use your locus of self-control and just say, you know, I'm not sure I understood your meaning. Can you explain that further? And maybe with an explanation, it would make perfectly good sense to us. But for us to be judgmental simply because we didn't like what she said is a really troubling thing to me. We do live in a country where free speech is important, and we should have free speech everywhere we go. And she's a writer of some renown, a very good writer. So with that, please do consider booking a reading. Hit like, share, and subscribe. And we are going to be sending out newsletters because we have been asked to, and there's quite a bit of interest. If you would like a nodal only reading, this is going to be a 15-minute audio with you being able to come back and ask questions within the range of the topics that we cover. It'll be covered by 2 medical astrologers, and the cost for this is $50. So please do consider getting a reading, as this is covering our expenses to go further in our education. Thank you so much for joining me here.